Welcome, writers, readers, and friends to the Authors Talking Bookish podcast. I'm Donna Norman Carbone, author of All That Is Sacred.
And I'm Hope Gibbs, author of Where the Grass Grows Blue.
We're two debut writers traditionally published by a small publishing house, bringing to you all the experiences that we as authors learn the hard way, so you don't have to.
We'll give you insights from the inception of a book idea to publication and beyond. And along the way, we'll share our love of books from the writer's perspective.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Authors Talking Bookish. This is a very important episode for Hope and I. It marks the 1-year anniversary of our podcast. So we're going to do a year in review. Hi, Hope.
Hey, Donna, I guess I should say happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary to you.
I cannot
so
believe that
excited.
it has been 1 year that we've been doing this.
No, I can't believe it either. Do you want to do a little toast?
I think we should. I think we should do a little toast.
Okay.
So, to us
Yes.
and to you, honestly, because this was Donna's brainchild. She was the one who came up with this, and I'm just lucky enough to go along for the ride.
Well, you have been instrumental in putting it together. I would never have figured out all of the inner workings of putting a podcast together the way that you have.
Well,
So
hey,
thank
cheers
you.
to us. So
Yes.
let's do a quick toast, and we'll do a toast at the end too as well. Okay, so as Donna said, this is kind of a big deal for us because this is our 1-year anniversary. And we're just going to sit here and talk about kind of how the podcast started, some of our favorite moments, and, just talk about why we felt that it was important to, kind of share all the things that we learned the hard way so you don't have to. So, as we always start, because, we don't just write books, we also love to read. Donna, tell me, what are you reading right now?
So I'm reading a book called I'll Get by a friend who is an author that I met through the Bookish Road Trip. Her name is Patty Procopi. And so I'm reading her book. It is delightful. And I just wanted to share that I just did a book event of my own at an indie bookstore. And I went into the indie bookstore and I saw 2 of Patty's books on the shelf. So I took a picture and sent them to her. That was so much fun. So
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. I'm
Yeah.
actually getting ready to do a book event at Sundog Books down in 30A in Florida. It's one of my favorite all-time bookstores. Even before I wrote my very first book, I've been going there for years when I go down to Seaside area on the Panhandle. And so, yeah, I love a good independent bookstore. But so what I just finished up Last Girl Breathing by Court Stevens.
Oh,
And I am lucky enough that I interview her for Bookish Road Trip because she is our June's author Take the Wheel. And I got to meet Court. She lives in Bowling Green, Kentucky. She's the librarian up there. And she is also a writer and author. And I met her at Parnassus Books here in Nashville. And she gave the best of every event I've ever seen an author give. She gave it. She is just so inspiring, uplifting, and she is awesome.
Well, how neat that both of our books this month have a Bookish Road Trip connection.
I know. I love
Our
Bookish
other
Road
little
Trip.
passion project. Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely we put a lot of energy into that passion project, but it's worth it because I think we're right at 5,600 members. So that's a lot of readers and writers out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Big plug to Bookish Road Trip for sure. So
Absolutely.
let's start and talk about how like where did we get our seed of inspiration for this? Do you want to tell everybody, Hope?
Well, one day, Donna, I think you called me up and
Mhm.
you said, "What do you think about podcast?" And I was like, "I like them. I don't have anything against them."
Mhm.
And she said, "What if we start one?"
Mhm.
And I told Donna this story, and I even blogged about it. I was a mother for 26 years. I still am a mother, but I was a
Yeah.
stay-at-home mother. And all I did for decades was say no. No, no, you can't sleep on the roof. No, and that's a true story.
Mm.
No, you can't have cake for breakfast. No, 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 no. And after I started, when I got my contract with Red Adept, I started embracing the power of yes.
Mm.
Yes, I will drive to, Huntsville, Alabama to speak. Yes, I'll go to Louisville to a book festival. So when you said, "Do you want to start this?" I said, "Yes, but how?" Because
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about how to start a podcast. And Donna, so what was our next step? What did we do next?
Well, I think we put together a little brainstorm list of what we wanted our podcast to be. And, we just kept coming back to the idea of the things that we learned the hard way because Hope and I, and we've talked about this too, you need a writing community. And Hope has been my ride or die through this. Um, and so I just kept having conversations with her about the process of learning through this whole journey. And so I thought it would be neat if we could put a podcast out there for other people who were in the shoes that we had previously been in. And we did like a little cursory, look at what was out there and didn't really find exactly what we wanted to do. So we brainstormed some ideas. We created a mission statement together, and we brought our trusted friend, Grace Salmon, on board to answer questions for us and give us some advice, which she does such a good job at. And
Yes.
we're also thankful to have her as a friend. Um, and then Hope, why don't you tell them about the whole StreamYard experience and bringing that to our podcast because you had experience in that.
Yeah, so the only thing I had experience because Donna had the experience in the website. She put that together. We both equally do Instagram, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I suggested that we use this program. It's a website. It's called StreamYard. And because Donna lives in Connecticut and I live in Tennessee, so we were not going to be together. And I used it for Bookish Road Trip. I still do. And so I knew that because I had worked with it, for about 6 months at that point, I felt comfortable and I already had an account. And as we've gone on, we came up with logos and now we use, I do graphics, we just get a little bit more comfortable. Also, because I live in Music City, USA, I have a dear friend whose husband owns a music company that specializes in just what you would music that you would hear on
Singles, right?
commercials. Yeah,
Yeah.
commercials or in TV, on shows. And so we paid for the rights because,
Mhm.
as we're writers, you want to pay your songwriters as well. And I went into a studio, recorded our opening. Donna had sent me hers and we did the remix. So I kind of do the whole StreamYard part, but
Mm.
Donna does all the other parts. She's the one who puts up the show notes. She's the one who completely runs our website. If it goes down and Donna's not around, I can't help. I have no idea. But then we share. One week Donna will post on Instagram. One week I'll post, and so we kind of figured out what our strengths were and what our weaknesses. And I had a lot more weaknesses than Donna did.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh,
But we also share creating show notes as
yeah.
well. So we'll come up with the topics together and sort of, um, schedule out a month or two in advance. And we usually tape two shows at a time. And so Hope will create the show notes for one, and I'll create the show notes for the other. And then we'll go live. And then after that, Hope downloads the episodes and I upload them to the RSS feed and YouTube and um, put them on our webpage. And we also broadcast on authors Bookish Road Trip twice a month. So I will upload them there as well. So I think we found a really good rhythm in terms of the way that we collaborate and work together.
Oh yeah, because at first we really, I didn't know what we were going to do. The actual making kind of the outline, the script, that was a little bit easier for me because I have to do that for Bookish Road Trip because I interview authors and
Mm.
whatnot. And I had a little script, background when I was in college. But, again, there were things that we had to learn. We also, had to get the microphones and,
Mhm.
just little things like that. But why don't we talk about some stats?
Yeah.
About our little podcast, because this again is the 1 year anniversary. So our first year stats, we had 24 episodes and 4 guests, because that was new, because we had not started out interviewing guests. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Donna?
Yeah, on the back end of the first season, we decided to occasionally interview guests. And our goal is to bring together different people who represent different facets of the publishing industry. And so we've had a podcaster, we've had an author, we've had a television script writer, and we have more in store for next
Yeah, we
year.
do.
Yeah.
And our highest viewed episode was the Jill Hannah Anderson that just dropped. I was about 3 or 4 episodes ago,
Yeah.
and our highest listened to episode is "What Makes You an Author." And I absolutely loved that episode.
Mm,
What makes you an author? Because it took me a long time to actually understand that and
yeah.
accept that,
And
to
embrace
actually
it.
say, I'm an
Right.
author.
Right.
But some other stats that on Apple, 38% listen on Apple and 28% listen on Spotify. And the worldwide listeners, Donna, I could not believe this.
I know. I was so excited when I saw this. RSS gives you a whole analytics and shows you where your listeners are. And yeah, who would have thought Japan, Belgium?
I would have never thought, because
Yeah.
again, Donna knows all the analytics. I show up and smile and prepare. And so, Donna, let's talk about some of our favorite moments. What was one of your favorite episodes of the 24 that we have done?
I really enjoyed the countdown to launching a book. I enjoyed that a lot because it gave, when I was preparing the show notes for that, it allowed me to reflect on the process
Hmm.
and realize just how much I had learned over the year. Um, Another favorite episode was the Grace Salmon episode. Um, I felt like that was a full circle moment for both of us because Grace has been so gracious, as her name would suggest. Throughout the bookish road trip process, kind of onboarding us and really giving us some sound advice when we reached out to her because she
Yeah.
is a very successful podcaster. She does the storytellers, she does countdown to launching your book, Launchpad. Um, so we found a lot of helpful information with her.
Yeah, I remember just she gave us so much information. It was a little overwhelming, but she was so encouraging. And she
Mm,
was the one that really said, "What's your mission statement?"
yeah.
And that got us to thinking. And then you and I both, even though I kind of had a mission statement as a writer, it got
Yeah.
me to thinking, maybe I need to put that on the page in
Right.
words. I need
Right.
to, and I think it really helped me over the past year, just being a published author as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. It helps with marketing your books.
Yeah.
It helps with marketing this podcast. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that was an aha moment for me as well. What was
Yeah.
your favorite episode?
Well, I also thought Grace, I loved that one. I loved the Jill Hannah Anderson one. But one
Mm,
of my favorites, it was the building an online presence,
mhm,
using social media. And I think that one, I felt like we could have talked an hour on
mhm,
that. And social media, I know that there are pros and cons with social media. We all know that, but it's a free publicity. It's a way to build your author brand. It's a way to
mhm.
connect with, your readers. And I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed prepping for that episode as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun episode. I think both of us enjoy doing social media, right?
Sometimes it can be overwhelming, and
A
sometimes,
lot.
a few times
Mhm,
it's like, "Oh, it's kind of a chore," and I don't post every day. For a while,
mhm,
I was trying to, post every other day, and now I post, 3 times a week, and a
mhm,
lot of it is, about my life. You'll see me
mhm,
playing pickleball or
mm,
something I'm reading, and I also still promote other authors. If I'm
mhm.
reading a book, I'm still gonna plug for them as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoy social media, but sometimes it can, be overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I enjoy the creating it. Like I
Yeah.
enjoy creating graphics for it. I'm a very visual person, so that's fun for me. It's relaxing. I actually do it while I'm watching television because I have to have my hands busy while I'm doing that. Um, let's talk about what we've learned over the course of a year. What are some things that you feel like we've learned or you've learned specifically?
Well, I've said this before, it's never too late to open a new door.
Mhm.
Again, I never thought at 51 I was going to be a podcaster. If you told
Mhm.
me 10 years ago, obviously we would have said, what's a podcast?
Yeah.
Uh, but it's amazing for me also that I've learned that just how to load things onto YouTube. I had to do
Mhm.
that a couple of times. One time when you were out of the country and I was so
Yeah.
nervous, and a year ago, I would have never known how to do that, and I've also learned to have a partner, and that's been
Mm,
great because
yeah.
with your author brand, it's really up to you. I mean,
Mhm.
you're the one in control, and Donna and I will throw ideas off of each other, and
Mm.
so those are some of the things that I've learned, and also, just keeping a schedule. We have to, we know that we have to get these in every 2 weeks, and it's just there's been so many things I've learned. What about you? And also graphics. I'm getting really quick with Canva now. So,
Yeah.
I've learned the hard way with Canva, but I'm actually enjoying it now. So, Donna, what have you learned this year from our podcast?
Well, I think one thing I learned is just being comfortable, being on camera. That's not anything that I was comfortable with before becoming an author. And like you, um, I just decided when I signed my publishing contract to just you know, go walk through those open doors, step
Yeah.
into the yes, um, and just embrace things, even the hard things that scare me. And
Yeah.
so I think that is one thing that I have learned is that I'm more comfortable on camera. I'm more comfortable having a conversation. I still have my little hitch words that I use every once in a while, and I catch myself while I'm saying them. But I'm getting better at that. I think timing wise, in terms of the broadcast and everything that we want to fit in, our show notes are always more detailed than what we actually get in. So I think that's something that I've learned over the time. And different things that we're adding to our podcast. Like you do
Yeah.
those amazing overlays, which I think has really added a nice visual feature to, for those watching on YouTube. Um, to our podcast. So it's just learning to improve and give our audience as much information in as many ways as we can.
Yeah. So why don't we wait? Let's shift gears a little bit and talk
Mm.
about some of the highlights because for me, there are two things that really stand out, and one was actually getting to meet you.
Yeah.
Back in December, Donna and I were lucky enough that our books were featured on a billboard in Times Square, and it was the first time that we ever met. And I can't wait till we meet again. I think we're going to try to do it hopefully here in the summer.
Yeah.
But that was a big highlight for me. And another one was when we won an award for a podcast. So this
Yeah.
is not just a podcast, we're an award winning podcast. And so that was really exciting.
Yeah.
So,
That
Donna,
was
what are some of your highlights?
you know what? I would say those two as well. I mean, I
Yeah,
loved meeting you in New York. I think we had a great day. It's a memory that I will cherish.
yeah,
It was so cool seeing our books up there on the billboards, a little surreal. Um, and also winning the award was kind of validation that what we're doing is useful for our
yeah,
audience. And so I have actually submitted our podcast to a couple more awards. So I'm hoping, keep our fingers crossed, um, moving forward. But yeah, another thing that is a highlight for me was bringing on guests. I
yeah.
think that was something I was a little nervous about because I'm not an interviewer. I was not trained in that. Um, I'm much more comfortable like teaching a skill because my background is in teaching. But I have enjoyed every single guest that we've had on, and I look forward to future guests.
Yeah, I was not a trained to do interviews as well, but I had a little bit of a head start just because I had been doing Bookish Road Trip Author Take the Wheel for about 6 months before we started the podcast. So when we opened up for the interview part, that was really exciting for me because that kind of felt a little bit more in my comfort
Mm.
zone. But I
Yeah.
feel like it's added a lot as well. Something that we talked about that has surprised me about our podcast, that several teachers have used this, that, teach writing.
Yeah.
Part of their curriculum is to listen to us. And when you told me that, because someone reached out to us on our website, I was amazed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. I think, people don't have a platform that they can go to learn all the little things that come up over the process of, becoming a published author. Um, the before, the hardships that you go through when you get all those rejections, and how to turn those into positive experiences, and the after, like, how do you promote your book? What does it mean to market? What does it mean to have a presence on social media and a brand? And I think we do bring valuable information that there's not one place to go to learn all of that information. So I think that's something that we're trying to provide. And it makes me feel good that, people are finding value in it.
Yeah, and when another thing is, like I said, the feedback, and we love to hear from the audience. And if you have, a topic that we haven't discussed, because there's a lot of topics, like we have our topics, already out until the end of the year. But if you have a, feedback of something you're wanting us to talk about, we would more than welcome, just
Mm.
send us an email and let us know. But let's go on and start wrapping up our year in review. And Donna, obviously, we're not going to have a do now because, this
No.
is not one of those kind of episodes. But why don't you tell everyone what our next episode is going to be about?
Sure. Our next episode, we're going to talk about the obscurity of the women's fiction genre that got a lot of heat a couple of years ago. And we just want to visit that and talk about where we think the women's fiction genre is now.
Yes. And as always, everyone, you can follow us on Apple and Spotify, Amazon, Google, YouTube, and you can find us at authorstalkingbookish.com. And we are also very active on Instagram. That was another thing that we learned kind of the hard way. We didn't know when to post. So now we have Donna post this week, I post the next week. So
Yeah.
that's actually been working for us, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's those little things you learn along the way, the little tips that we like to share with everyone.
Yes, and you're like I said, you're never too old to learn something. So Donna, let's pick up our mine. I think I have champagne. I think you have
I
a
have
glass
wine.
of wine.
Yeah.
Um, and I just want to say, Donna, thank you for first and foremost your friendship. I don't just consider you one of my book best friends, but
Yeah.
I consider you one of my dearest friends outside of writing. And thank you for asking me to be a part of this amazing idea that you came up with.
Well, thank you for being a part of it. I really cherish our friendship, and I agree. I think, books brought us together, but I think that as we move forward, I think just, our friendship is our friendship. Books are not.
Yeah. Well, cheers, everyone,
Cheers.
and happy anniversary, Donna.
Happy anniversary.
Until next time, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Hope Gibbs.
And I'm Donna Norman Carbone. It's time for you to get to work.
We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks with another tip from your author friends.